What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. Yes, we are back from this long hiatus. I'm your host, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub, and on this show, we have a full, very detailed recap of the XFL rules that were released this week, released today, as a matter of fact. We have that, plus XFL training camp coming on and going on in Houston, and so much more. So how do you get in touch with the show? It's very simple. You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3, or you call 888-430-7692, extension 3. Cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, which is today. We have some phone callers. We'll get to those in a little bit. Remember to leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll read it on the show. Speaking of iTunes, let's get into our iTunes reviews real quick. We want to thank all the people that have done that. First up, Rad Rob gives us 5 stars. Definitely check it out and subscribe if you're into the XFL. Super interactive with the listeners via email and social media. Dirkrick124, 5 stars as well. So excited for the season to start. I got season tickets and a jersey already. All I need is that football. We'll get to the football in a second. Thomas from Publix, I think that's a store. 5 stars as well. Love listening to these and looking forward to the first season of the XFL. Arthur Curry, 51, 5 stars. Wonderful show. Very informative about the XFL. I look forward to each episode. Thank you very much. Groove Street 101, 5 stars. Best place for XFL, best news in the world. There you go. Well, thank you very much. Best news in the world. That's so nice. DCS0405, this podcast is the best place to go for the latest news on the XFL. The guys are not only informative, but highly entertaining. I can't recommend this podcast enough. 5 stars there. 5 stars, Bulls, Roll 22, give great intellectual insight every week. Thank you very much. Mad Mike 25, this podcast has great insight and news about the ongoing XFL. We're all excited about the relaunch of the league. This podcast is helping to fuel that appetite. It's a must listen for all football fans. This is a podcast that you need to like it and subscribe to it. Mike F., dropping some knowledge on us. Thank you very much. 5 stars from Wrestling God, entertaining and informative, must listen show for the XFL. And finally, at Joe Negron. This guy are good at what they do, and they talk XFL. Thank you very much. This is the only XFL podcast you need. Well, thank you very much for all those kind words. And then it's been a little while since we've read those off. So we appreciate all that good stuff. Thank you very much for checking in. Thanking you to the chat room for checking in as well. We appreciate you guys on there as well. So, question of the week. What is your favorite and least favorite XFL rule? We'll get into that later in the show. We have your emails, phone calls, social media, and so much more. Oh, and remember, we are live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on the YouTubes for our podcast. So we're live right now. Speaking of live, you see, if you're watching live, there is this very nice DC Defenders XFL football right there for all you to see on there. Do you want this? Do you want this? Here you go. Here you go. Do you want it? In order to get this an XFL football, at a value of $125, you must either A, leave us a review on iTunes, or B, just go to YouTube and subscribe. Then you're entered to win. I'm tracking all of this stuff. You can win an XFL football of your choice. That's right. These are $125. All you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel or subscribe on iTunes. That's all we ask. Winner to get one of this nice football or one of these will be announced on February 4th, our February 4th episode of the XFL Week in Review. Now, my friends, think about that for a second. February 4th. Right now, it's January 7th. That means less than a month away. As a matter of fact, tomorrow will be a month out for the first game. 2 o'clock. We have to have a celebration tomorrow at 2 o'clock because it'll be a month out. So if you want to get one of these, All you have to do is subscribe to our channel or our YouTube channel or leave us a review on iTunes. That's it. And if you don't have either one of those two, like I'm an Android guy, I don't have an iPhone, so I just would subscribe on YouTube. If you don't like YouTube and you don't like have an Apple phone, if you're a Windows phone person, maybe, and you don't like YouTube, you're not a Google person, you're a Bing person, well then be somebody like Nicholas, who is our tier 1 emailer. If you're a tier 1 emailer, we'll let you in. But you got to be a tier 1 emailer. And Nicholas sends us a message every week, and we appreciate him so much. So that's how you get into the contest. So, my friends, it's been a while. We took a little 2 weeks off because here's the problem. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve were all on Tuesday. I'm not going to do a show. I got family stuff. You got family stuff. You can't be like, listen, family, I can't hang out with you on New Year's Eve because I need to stop in and watch the XFL Week in Review. I didn't want to put that burden on you. So we decided to just punt it for 2 weeks, and now we're back. We're here till the beginning of the season. Super excited. Training camp's in full gear. We got the rules. So without further ado, my friends, just to keep it simple for all you people, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. So if you didn't hear, today was a big day. It is the official unveiling of the XFL rules, and we have them out for you. Now, if you want a super detailed recap of all the rules coming to the XFL, you need to head over to XFL News Hub after this show. Because after this show, Mike Mitchell, the great Mike Mitchell, is going to have a super huge rundown of all the XFL rules, compare, contrast, the whole deal. So you can go to XFL News Hub to check that out, or go to xfl.com and you can see their kind of reasoning behind the rules. Now, they didn't basically drop a rule book and say, here's 300 pages for you to consume all the rules. They basically kind of kept it high level. They initially released that to ESPN's Kevin Seifert. He got an early glimpse of the XFL rulebook. Most of the rules are similar to what fans are accustomed to in pro football and college, not even really the CFL. There are around 25 new tweaks aimed at making the game run faster, more exciting scoring, and of course, concern about player safety. We have some of the highlights are simple. One is, kickoffs were designed to discourage touchbacks and increase the likelihood of return. The XFL was always interested in that. Players can't leave the line of scrimmage on punts until after the kick. Thought that was interesting. 3 options for scoring a touchdown. The 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point conversions. There's no extra point. There are field goal kicking. There is field goals, but no extra points. It's either 1, 2, or 3-point conversions. A touchback is spotted at the 35-yard line. Of course, we all talked about the shootout style. The 2 forward passes had people very interested in what's going on with that. Any punts that go into the end zone or out of bounds will be marked at the 35-yard line. Only 1 foot to be in bounds for possession. That's what has to go with the whole punting or kick or the college game, I should say. There'll be 9 officials on the field. Video officials who can intervene on significant non-reviewable calls. So you have a video official in the back. Offensive linemen can be up to 2 yards downfield when a pass is thrown. There's a running game clock. Another couple interesting things was a 10-minute halftime. So go to the bathroom, get your drink, and come back because we're getting right back at it. That is not, are they even going to bother leaving the field at halftime? That is kind of quick. That's when I'm like, wait a second. Halftime was when you go chill out with your friends. You get a beverage. For me, it would be a soda. Some of you might be an adult beverage. Hang out a little bit and then make your way back to the game. But 10 minutes, that is going to be some heck of a bathroom line at halftime. 2 timeouts per team per half and no coin toss. And again, check out XFL News Hub. Mike Mitchell has an article coming up as soon as the show is over. That will be live, and that will give you a full rundown of all of the goings on with the XFL rules. But have no fear, my friends. Have no fear. Because we got a chance to check in with Oliver Luck and Dean Blandino talking about some of the XFL rules. And we decided, hey, it'd be a good idea maybe to give you guys a little sneak peek what they had to say about some of the rules. So first up, here is the new XFL head of officiating, Dean Blandino, talking about how they came up, what they want to kind of accomplish, the XFL crew, and where these officials are actually coming from.
And so our philosophy, we're focusing on the 3 C's. We want to create a culture of clarity, consistency, and credibility for all of our stakeholders, players, coaches, our clubs, our fans, the media, and that's very important to us. One of the things we're focusing on from an officiating perspective is we want to make sure our games are administered efficiently, and that's something, talking to fans and people around the game, what frustrates them is when we have a lot of stops and starts in the game. The game flow isn't consistent, and we want to emphasize that with our game officials and ensure that they're managing the game and keeping the game moving so that, like Oliver said, it's less stall, more ball, and that's important to us. And then as we look at our on-field officials, this will look like NCAA in terms of mechanics. We're going to have 8 officials on the field with a referee and the center judge in the offensive backfield, the umpire in the defensive backfield, which was the traditional spot, and then your line of scrimmage officials, your deep-point officials, and then the back judge in the middle of the field. And where are we getting these officials? They're all Division I college football officials. They come from different conferences, mainly Power 5 conferences. And all of these officials, most of them have been a part of the NFL's officiating development program, which they use to give college officials experience in the NFL game, and they pull from that group of officials when they have openings in the league. So the majority of our officials have been in that group.
So there you have it. The XFL is actually going to pull officials from the college ranks and almost borderline NFL guys. Dean Blandino has the connections. He's got the hookup. He's going to bring those guys in. So it's not going to be like these scrub, junior high school coaches. They're actually legit, almost NFL borderline referees that are coming into the game. So he kind of gives you an idea of what the behind the scenes thing is. A couple things. Fans were really interested in the double forward pass is something that's going to be really kind of interesting. And the XFL put out some great videos. Go to XFL's YouTube channel and kind of get a little behind the scenes of the double forward pass and how that'll all work. Because that's going to be really interesting, because if you have 2 good quarterbacks on the field throwing it, and then they could throw to each other, it's different. That's kind of a cool thing. But one of the questions was asked to Oliver Luck was, what are some of the most things that fans are excited about when it comes to these new rules?
As we were talking to fans, I think the innovation that really has sort of the most interest and curiosity is the extra point, because of the strategy that will be involved. In the decision, do I go for 1, do I go for 2, do I go for 3? I think anything that sort of brings strategy into the game of football is welcome. It's a great way, for fans to sort of think along with the coach. What would I do in this situation? We always love second-guessing coaches, and I think that's sort of a great opportunity as well, because the decision, can be very significant, not sort of automatic, well, I'll go for 1, but the chance to go for 2 or go for 3, with obviously a higher risk attached to that, I think was something that really caught the attention of our fans.
So I think double forward pass. I think the extra points. I still would just be fine with having a kicker in there. I don't have a problem kicking an extra point. It seems to be kind of keep it simple, but we're going to see. No extra point. You can either score one, you can be up 9-0 real quick, or you could be down to only score 6 points. On the chat room, Aiken Crow is asking, can someone, what is the neutral zone is? Is it 1 yard or half a yard? That, Aiken Crow, I have not heard anything about, no one mentioned anything about neutral zone. I don't know if the XFL is going to put out a big 300-page booklet on their rules. They probably should. Fans would like to read it, but I haven't heard anything about that one. One of the other things that really jumped out to me, and I didn't even think of it, and it's like these little nuances that can make the difference between, saving just a couple minutes, was the coin toss. That the coin toss is actually going to happen before the game even begins. Let's hear Oliver Luck talk about the coin toss. I wouldn't even think of that one.
So our opening coin toss will be done, prior to the start of the game. In fact, it very well will be done, with the referees 35, 40 minutes before the game, where we establish the home team will have the first choice, similar in a sense to baseball, and then walk through the other decisions that will be made. So there will be no coin toss on the field, just prior to the kickoff.
I thought that was really an innovative. Who cares about the coin toss? They don't even show it on TV. They only show the overtime one. Keep that somewhere else. Get it done quick, and then let's move on to getting things done on the field. I don't have a problem with that. I thought that was really innovative. Another thing that Dean Blandino talked about was kind of what's going to happen with the play calling at the last 5 minutes. Now, I want to stress to you guys, there's a lot of criticism about the NFL and their officiating and officiating in the NBA and umpires blowing calls. I'm not like, hey, the XFL solved bad officiating. I don't just temper your excitement just yet. I mean, we have to see how this goes. I mean, to me, and they're definitely innovating, and they're going to do some things differently. And we have some articles talking about this Hawkeye system, about how to do instant replays. But I really hope that the XFL really becomes innovative when it comes to these things. I was thinking about this the other day, just on a side note. Like, why is, like, Major League Baseball, why can't you use a computer to tell you if it's a ball or strike? Why are we having umpires? And if you're a fanboy baseball old purist, like, well, we need to have these guys in there because fans don't care. Like, if you see what's going on in pro sports, like, fans just want it to get it right. They don't care who it comes from, whether it's R2D2 or Joe Schmo, professional referee. They just want it to be right and fair. And in, like, baseball is the worst, because, oh, this umpire has a different strike zone than the other one. But everybody should have the same strike zone. It shouldn't be different. And the same thing with, like, how I heard it in the NFL, it was like the coaches, well, you have to yell at the refs all the time because it helps. It shouldn't. You shouldn't have to yell at the refs. Just call it right. And I'm sure there's a foul on every play, all this other stuff. I really hope, and I think the XFL is pushing things to a new level because they just want to get it right. The fans just want to get the call right. And let's use technology to get it done so that it's done right. And with that technology comes what's going to happen with this replay official at the last 5 minutes of a game, and Dean Blandino goes into detail of that.
And in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, there's going to be an obvious mistake that's going to have a significant impact on the outcome of the game. The replay official can provide input to the on-field crew and how correct that mistake. And that's going to be anything, even something outside the normal realm of what is reviewable. So we feel like that will help us get the important plays right, keep the game moving, and we're excited about the rules and the officiating going into the season.
So there you have it. So it's going to be not as invasive. it's going to be real interesting to see how all this goes. Now you have all these new rules. There's not a ton. You notice they got rid of the halo rule for the punt. That was something that was talked about because the players weren't picking up. And so part of my fear is let's be honest, my friends out there, my friends listening across the world, whether you're in Seattle, if you're in Hawaii, the best place to ever live, if you're in Florida, wherever you are, I'm a software engineer by trade. I'm a computer nerd. That's why XFL News Hub is good. That's why you got phone apps, podcasting, all this stuff. I know technology. I've been doing this for a long time. As a software engineer, when we roll out something, like we think of everything and we test and test and test. And you still roll something out and there's bugs in it that you didn't foresee. Even though you've hit that application 100 times with all different kinds of people, you just never know when you roll something out. So my question to Oliver Luck straight up was, what if some of these rules don't work? Are you willing to get rid of them mid-season if you see something that's just not working right? And this is what he had to say.
Well, I think we're committed to the rules for the entire season. I would hesitate to come up with a scenario unless it's a serious health and safety issue where we would be prompted to change midstream. I think we've done enough testing to be really comfortable with the rules. We'll take one of them. We'll take a long, hard look at the rules after the first season.
So, my friends, this might not just mean this isn't hard, fast, steady thing. I think they're going to learn a lot from that first year. And I would say that the NFL always tweaks its rules, but I could see the XFL doing some big changes potentially next season. My fear is that, where that question comes from is this play clock. Now, I know they've tested it. With other players but it's not a live thing. And I'm just very worried not only about I'm not worried. I mean, whatever. Not that worried. Concern is, not only with the players' position with that quick play clock, but the referees too. I've seen some refs. I've seen some umpires that have put away a little too many Twinkies. And do they even make Twinkies anymore? A little too many. I don't know. Give me something, chat room. What's the bloomin' onions in their lifetime, which is the worst food, apparently, that you could eat calorie-wise. A little too many bloomin' onions. Are they going to be able to keep up with this pace? So, check out xfl.com for the breakdown. They have a great breakdown of the rules. They got good videos. We can't play them on YouTube because it's copyrighted. Otherwise, I'd play them for you here, but we can't do that. Also, check out xflnewshub.com for Mike Mitchell's full recap of awesomeness rule stuff. So excited for you guys to see that as well. But this isn't the only thing going on in the XFL world. There's training camps as well. So training camps in full gear, if you didn't know, in Houston, Texas. Here are the locations where they'll be at. So Dallas Renegades are at Darrell Tully Stadium. DC Defenders, America's team, is at Rice Stadium. Houston Roughnecks are at TDECU Stadium. The Los Angeles Wildcats are at Alexander Durley Stadium. The New York Guardians are at Husky Stadiums. The St. Louis Battlehawks is at W.W. Thorne Stadium. Seattle Dragons are at Del Mar Stadiums. And Tampa Bay Vipers are at George Turner Stadium. All these places within not too long of a distance of each other in the great city of Houston, Texas. So that's where they're training at right now. If you follow them on social media, it's a good place. Also on XFL News Hub, you'll see, and we're playing some Dallas Renegades behind-the-scenes videos for our YouTube fans out there. So all 8 teams are there training camp till about mid-January-ish. We haven't heard any official word about when scrimmages are, when they'll be playing each other, when camps will open up to the media. The first day, they basically worked with no pads. So as of this recording on Tuesday, for the first time, they put pads on. And they're going to start hitting. And we will be covering all of this. We actually have one of our guys going out there in Houston to check out all the different all the different training sites to report back to us on what's going on there. So it's in full effect, my friends. Training camp happens. Roster stuff. We have a full breakdown of the rosters going on XFL News Hub. If you're interested in seeing what's going on there or whose players were cut. Again, a lot of guys, some guys were signed before the season, before the training camp just started, and some were, cut. But we haven't really gotten any officialness yet. I mean, we do have the St. Louis Battlehawks made some changes to their roster just before training camp. They signed Daniel Braverman, West Virginia, or wide receiver from Western Michigan. Mike Quan Dean, tight end from Western Kentucky. Sean Hickey, offensive guard, Syracuse. Alex Jenkins, a defensive end, Incarnate Word. Jay Liggins, a cornerback, Dickinson State. Charles Tayamu, DT, defensive tackle at Texas A&M Commerce, and Brandon Watson, offensive tackle at Mid-American Nazarene. Guys have been put on the injured reserve already, getting hurt in training camp. But friends, we're in full swing, and we are basically a month away from kickoff, the XFL kickoff in 2020. Are you excited yet? It's real. Oh, it's darn real. So clearly, if you've been living under a rock for the past couple of days, Dean Blandino is now the XFL's official new head of officiating. Blandino is currently employed with Fox Sports. You see him on all the time as their football rules analyst. He spent 5 years as the NFL's vice president of officiating. Back in February, Oliver Locke talked about hiring Blandino. We reported on that. He was kind of consulting with them for a while, but now he has a full title as the head of officiating for the XFL. In the press release, it said, quote, America's favorite game is evolving, and that means less stall and more ball. We've heard that. When the XFL opening weekend kicks off February 8th, our new league will feature exciting gameplay innovations that will deliver what football fans have told us they want, a faster pace of play and more action. We got an announcement, blah, 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 testing a wide range of things. Now, Blandino brings a wealth of experience in football to the XFL and was involved directly with the NFL officiating from 1994 to 2017. The XFL, of course, will introduce new rules. We have those out today, including like the shootout. We've gone over that kind of stuff. Back in 1999, when the NFL was toying with instant replays, Blandino headed up the new project and managed it for 6 years. So he is a guy, under his direction, instant replays become an integral part, and he was part of that piece to bring that to the NFL. So now Dean Blandino is now the XFL's head of officiating, and a lot of people say that was the best hire the XFL has done. I don't know about that, but it was a great hire nonetheless. The XFL is serious, my friends. Now, we haven't had any official word yet, but there was a report that Battlehawks offensive coordinator Doug Meacham could be leaving. With training camp here, and apparently he's there, Football Scoop was reporting that offensive coordinator Doug Meacham was potentially leaving the team. The report said that Meacham was leaving for a job at TCU, where he was the Frogs' co-offensive coordinator and inside wide receivers coach from 2014 to 2016. Now, hold on a second. Now, we just had recently Jacksonville University, which I have ties to. We'll just put it that way. Got rid of their football program. Because college football is expensive. And yeah, some teams make a ton of money and it helps fund other programs. Other schools, it's a money loser. And that's what happened with Jacksonville University and other schools that, hey, we would love to have football, but it's so expensive. One of the reasons why it's expensive, in my opinion, is you hired a guy as co-offensive coordinator and inside wide receivers coach. Hi, I'm the outside wide receivers coach. Don't you think that's a little much? Do you need that many coaches? I understand a wide receivers coach, a running back, offensive line / tight end, but I've seen a couple. They're co-offensive coordinators. How much do you make as an inside wide receivers head coach? Do you really make that much of a difference in the game? Just pointing it out. Now, that position opened with the departure of the Frogs, another co-offensive coordinator and running backs coach. All right, there you go. Curtis Looper, he went to Missouri. Well, that makes sense. He's offensive coordinator and a running backs coach. That saves you some money. That's a smart one. The offense at TCU under Meacham finished number 2 nationally in scoring in 2014 and number 7 in 2015. Head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks, Jonathan Hayes, has days to fill the role, but apparently they're not worried about it because he's still there right now. No word yet on when he is potentially leaving or if he's going to leave at all. We have no idea. So we have our first play-by-play voice for XFL Radio. John Granado will be the new play-by-play voice of the Houston Roughnecks. So Mark Berman, sports director at Fox 26, he's broken a lot of stories on XFL, is reporting that local Houston sports radio personality John Granado will be the new voice of the Houston Roughnecks, the first announced voice of any of the football team. He is host of ESPN 97.5 FM, 97.5 FM. That's my cool radio voice in Houston, Texas. He, along with Lance Zerline, hosts The Bench, the morning show from 7 to 9 a.m. on weekdays. He's been doing morning radio since August of 2007 when 1560 a.m. The Game debuted. That station eventually became an ESPN 97.5. Now, over the summer, we asked Oliver Luck about what was going on with local radio partners, and he answered that yes, that these details were coming, that they were going to have radio deals. It looks like that's coming to fruition. We don't have full details but I bet you all that stuff will be finalized, my friends, before kickoff in February 8th. Now, when you're running a football league, there's so many things now. There's lawyers and all these kind of things that you need to think of, and it's a massive undertaking. Just following the league for since its inception, when Vince McMahon said, hey, I'm bringing back the XFL, and we started covering it, I started covering. Well, no, I wasn't alone. There's so many different things that you need to be paying for. No wonder why it's so expensive. Well, the XFL signed a deal with Genius Sports to prevent improper betting. What? Is that even a thing? According to Bloomberg, the XFL signed a multi-year deal with Genius Sports Group to monitor and prevent improper sports betting when it comes to XFL games. I guess this is serious business. The London-based Genius Sports, quote, which has similar partnership with golf's PGA Tour and soccer's English Premier League, will help the XFL build a so-called integrity program to guard against fixed games, which that would be very bad for the XFL. As part of that, Genius, owned by private equity firm Apex Partners, will offer around-the-clock monitoring of pregame and live betting markets to detect unusual activity. Wow, that's like straight up scientific-y hardcore. According to Genius Sports, they monitor and understand global betting on your competitions 24/7, 365 days a year. Our bet monitoring system leads the fight against match fixing and with predictive algorithm that flags potential suspicious betting activity. Now, Bloomberg goes on to say that during the XFL centralized training camp this month, Genius will be conducting betting-focused educational workshops with players, coaches, and game officials. So their company's goal is to make sure that there's no fraud going on. And when it comes to the betting world and the XFL, it looks like they're taking this serious. And the sports betting is a big thing for the XFL as well. Because clearly, if they're going down this path, they're serious about getting their sports betting on track because that's going to draw fans to the league. All right, we'll be back with this commercial break. So stay tuned, my friends, we got your social media stuff and phone calls and emails and so much more.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Maybe you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes and links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
All right, we are back, my friends. And remember, our question of the week, what is your favorite and least favorite rule, XFL rule? The chat room is in there right now. Let us know what you like the best and what you don't like, what you like the least when it comes to the XFL rules. I know you all have an opinion out there. Well, let's get into some of our social media stuff. We got a lot of social media stuff going on today. First, let's hit the Facebooks first. Now, Mike Mitchell put out an article about what would the XFL be like if the AAF still existed. It would be very tough. It's a great read. You should go check it out on the Facebooks. His take on it would be hard because between the salaries and the players and it would be. We are very happy that the AAF existed, and we're very happy that they are gone now because that helped the XFL a ton. But they knew what they were doing. Alphonse says they would be competing for players and revenue. It would have saturated the spring sports market even more and made it harder for both leagues to survive. It is a blessing for the XFL that the AAF collapsed. 100% yes, that is accurate. Anthony, XFL would fall to the AAF, I believe. What? I couldn't see it surviving and being any better than the AAF already was. No. Frank, XFL should have bought the AAF's teams and merged with their teams now. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to, they need the big markets. They know what they're doing. Even though reading Mike Mitchell's article, talks about some of the potential XFL looking at markets, but the AAF was already there, so they weren't going to put a team there. They could have bought them, but then what? Then you have too many teams. They are doing the right thing. Nick says the real question is what would happen if the arena football was in business still? Nothing would happen. Those guys get paid like $100 a game. One of the other things we're coming out to, and Mike Mitchell put this one out too. This one was a huge. Everybody is so interested in fantasy football. And we've got some more content coming up about fantasy football. We are going to be all in when it comes to fantasy football for XFL stuff. We'll be talking about on this show. I want to do a live draft. What we talked about with the writers is that we're going to get the writers together and maybe a couple of you knuckleheads out there, the real hardcore fans of XFL Week in Review podcast. We'll get you in and we'll do a league. We'll do a live draft. Why not? I've done it before with a regular draft. You'll see my picks in order, but who cares? I think we should totally do an XFL draft. We haven't heard what platform. Let's see. They're on ESPN. ESPN does fantasy football. All they need is the data. And by the way, we haven't heard about the data. There was a company that was going to do the data for the XFL. We signed up for it. I got some cool ideas when it comes to data. Good thing I'm a software engineer and I know how to do this kind of stuff because I'm going to do it for me because I think it's going to be cool. And then you guys will like it too. So that's coming up as well. So fantasy football is big. I've just seen lots of stuff, lots of interest in the fantasy football aspect of the XFL. There was this lawsuit that happened that was reported that basically they wanted answers. This, what was it, a pension fund was suing the WWE because the WWE was using people from the WWE staff to help the XFL. It seems to be much to do about nothing. Not interested in that, but that was kind of an art, people suing the XFL. Why? Good luck. Maybe that's true. So what? What does that have to do with anything? You're just trying to get paid. We have some funny pictures that we put out there. One is of the NWO. Remember the NWO? Back in the wrestling days, we got a picture of Tom Brady and Andrew Luck. Maybe they were going to do an NWO invasion style to the XFL. No, that's not happening. That's not happening. On to the rules. Let's get some reaction to rules. What do you think? Keelan says all of ball straight, no stall, it like AAF. A lot of people are excited about that. He said, yes, love it. Cool. Question of the week was your favorite and least favorite. Sundara says the overtime rule and kickoff rule is going to be exciting and fun. Overtime rule, the XFL was kind of saying because of the way things are structured, that the overtime rule, that there weren't going to get much overtime. I would love to see an overtime, the first game, Seattle Dragons, DC Defenders, overtime game would be awesome. Totally awesome. On to the Twitter. Now, I get a ton of tweets. So I'm just keeping it to the Twitter to either XFL Army. So yeah, if you want to be on the show, it's XFL Army, or I'm just sitting straight to the question of the week that we put out there. So what are your favorite and least favorite XFL rules on the Twitter? Mickey J. Wim, great writer, our New York Guardians guy, says favorite rule, punt and kickoff rules and the 2-minute rule. I love the fact teams have to run more plays, keep close games exciting at the literal end. Punt rule will get less punts in plus positions, which is always frustrating to fans to see coaches do. Punt rule I'm interested in. It was almost like, based on listening to the talk today from Dean Blandino and Oliver Luck, it was like they were kind of trying to avoid the punt. And if you watch the video too, it's like, we're trying to avoid punting and going for it on 4th down. But I like the punt return, man. I like the punt return. Connor, another outstanding writer from XFL News Hub. Favorite rule, the restriction on kickoff coverage, team movement until the ball is caught by the returner. I like that. This is what the NFL should have done. Rather than boring touchbacks, you have exciting returns and improved player safety. Least, no coaches challenges. Now, I agree with you. The NFL, they couldn't do what the XFL has done with the kickoffs. Were you guys too old? Like, no one could have figured that one out. Like, this is a brilliant idea for how to do kickoffs. You want kickoffs, yeah. What's the point of kicking it out? And these guys kick it out of the end zone. The no coaches challenge, I guess it's part of not slowing it down and letting the replay guys get it. So if it's egregious, you don't need to do the challenge. I'm all right without the coaches challenge. Mickey goes on to say, my least favorite rule is the double forward pass rule. Really? I really don't find it that necessary, and it will not even come into play in most games. I guess it helps with incomplete/fumble decisions, but I can only see it as a limited use rule. Interesting chat room, do you think the forward pass that no one's going to use that? I I would you put two quarterbacks on the field, throwing it around. I think it would work. I bet you June Jones is going to be the one that does that play first. Over under. Who do you think is going to do the first double pass? Which coach is going to call that play? Is it going to be Kevin Gilbride, Pep Hamilton, June Jones? I'm putting all in. Well, Hal Mummy might do that too. One of those two guys. One of those Texas boys is going to do that double pass first. David says, most favorite is the double forward pass. Least is only the replay official in the booth can call for a replay/review, and on-field official should also be able to call for a review. So same thing as Connor is Hagar 314, or David Kennedy. Oh, Hagar 314 says, favorite is a double forward pass. Adding this wrinkle means offenses can be rewarded for being creative with plays. At least several rules tie for this. Kickoffs, punts, no coaches challenge is another one. The comeback period, I'm skeptical of the OT rules. Interesting. And Stefan says least would be putting the ball on the 35-yard line on punt touchbacks. I just think that's a little too much field position. I like everything else. Interesting there from the XFL Army on the social media stuff. On to the Instagram. Same thing about the rules. The 2-4 passes rule and the new overtime rules. Ruben Kazuma likes that one. Interesting take on that. What else do we got here in the social media world? Let's go to... let's see here. On to our chat. The chat room. Did I put this up? Where did I put this? I put this up on standby. I have our chat room stuff that I wanted to take a look at. Oh, where is it? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Right here. Listen, I'm doing this live, my friends. Relax. Doing this live. Because we got to get into something here. On to the chat room. My little thing about our friend, Mike Florio. Now, if you didn't see, if you didn't hear, we kind of got into it a little bit. So you heard my rant about Mike Florio using the word fledgling. Again, I've said this multiple times. It's not necessary. Well, apparently, so I took that piece, made it into a video, and put it out, and then he didn't like it very much. And he wished XFL News Hub, the fledgling XFL News Hub success. Fledgling success, I forget what it was. And which then I responded, like I said, oh, and he gave me the definition of fledgling, and we all know the thing. So he still does it. Still says fledgling. Here's my point about this Mike Florio use of the word fledgling. Number one, if NBC was having XFL games, they would not let him use the word fledgling. They would make him use the word up and coming. Fledgling is a negative word. When you think of fledgling football leagues, which one do you think of? Do you think of the NFL? No. Do you think of the AAF? Oh, yeah. Now, if you want to use the word fledgling with a $400 million budget, like you could use the word fledgling when it comes to the AAF, when you find out that people aren't getting paid and checks are bouncing. Down in the middle of game 4 or 5, you could start using the word fledgling. The problem when people like Mike Florio, he's really the only one on Pro Football Talk that uses the word fledgling that I've seen. When you use the word fledgling, words matter. And in this country, there's so much, words matter. What we say matters. How we say it matters. When you use the word fledgling, you're giving fans the impression that the XFL is going out of business. And that's, to me, disingenuous, and that is incorrect. That is not factually accurate. Using the word fledgling, you're trying to hurt the XFL. You're trying to turn people away from watching the league because they're going to be like, wow, it's fledgling. It must be like the AAF, so therefore I'm not going to watch. That's why I have a problem with it. You're trying to make it seem like the AAF, and it's not the AAF. You think Dean Blandino, which I think Dean Blandino was with the AAF, I'm not sure. That's why I don't like the, and I don't think it's necessary at this juncture to use that word. And he's trying to turn people off from being interested in the XFL by using that word. And it's just being snooty with it. So if Mike Florio, when does the XFL not be fledgling anymore? Is it after year 2, 3, 4, 5, 10? Are you still going to use it when it's fledgling league after season 1 or 2 or 3? Doesn't that make you look stupid if you're saying that it's fledgling? So tell you what, Mike Florio, here's a little deal for you. If the XFL lasts more than 3 seasons, why don't you take me and my wife out to dinner? I know you live somewhere in West Virginia. I live in Maryland. We're not too far away. You take me and my wife out to dinner, and we'll have a nice little discussion with you and your wife about your fledgling marriage. I mean, I guess it's up and coming, right? That's all I'm saying. On to, let's see, Mark Mello says, the Mark is so triggered. Yes, I was. I still am. It's true. It's damn true. Do not try to do that. Like, words matter, my friends. How we say things matter. And that's just being disingenuous and trying to sabotage something, trying to get fans to think that the XFL is the AAF and it is not the AAF. Annoying. Super UK Cats, who had the very popular post that we did a whole post about him. I'm no Florio fan, but want some cheese with that wine, Vince McMahon fanboy? Ouch. Ryan Wallace says, fledgling doesn't insinuate failing. I'm pumped that you guys love the XFL, but that word was used correctly. That's a very minor thing to focus on. Keep up the XFL coverage, but ease up on the stuff that really isn't an issue. But see, here's the thing. Where I don't know where you all grew up. I grew up on Long Island, and I talked to my friends from Long Island, and they were all like, yeah, that's what it means. And that's what he's trying to do. I don't know where everybody else is like, no, it's not, but whatever. Jeff Card 1A, fledgling, he's given us the definition. A young bird, just fledge, immature, inexperienced. Are you really? I can't use that. Thank you very much. This is what gets you banned on Facebook. All right, we're going to have to switch, so I'm going to have to read this somewhere else. Because they're using bad words. Jeff Cart 1A says, are you really that bleeping stupid? Did you even graduate from elementary school? Yes, I did. Actually, I graduated from college, my friend. If this is the caliber of talent the XFL is relying on to promote and boost the XFL, the wrath of Vince, then the XFL is DOA. Okay, thank you very much. Joshua says, why would the XFL games be on the NFL Network? LOL. They're not. The championship game will be the XFL Undisputed Heavyweight Champion. Oh, the championship game will be the XFL Undisputed Heavyweight Championship game. LOL. No, I don't think. Jake Ferreira. Bro, why would you release this video? This is a sad, he used the word right. Are you mental? It's definitely what it says, up and coming. The XFL hasn't produced anything, so it is still up and coming. Like, what, bro, are you trying to get some XFL news, or are you just roasting Mike Glorious, whom I'm sure he gets proof multiple times before releasing anything and also has a couple mil in the bank? I don't know. Something about that. I went back and did a search on Mike Florio. He is not using that word as up and coming, friends. He's not using that word as up and coming. I looked at some of his other work just to make sure. And no, anytime he wants to make somebody sound bad, he uses that word. Words matter. You spoke the truth, Cyril Moore. Thank you very much. John Chris, okay. Talking about our ultimate, our XFL rules, the 20 rules that that one guy posted. A lot of reaction to that, which is good. I'm not going to get into all those things. It'd be crazy. Matthew says, would he be saying this if the XFL was on NBC instead of Fox, ESPN, and ABC? Well, Bob Costas dissed the original, which was on NBC. NBC owned half the league. And Mr. McMahon sports 2BF, though that league was dissed because it was impossible to take the league seriously because of the football wrestling hybrid. The XFL deserves to be taken seriously. It's got a rich money backer, and unless some freak occurrences where he has to withdraw some money, the league has potential to succeed. I'd be saying that about the AAF if they had the money. To any diehard football fans out there who are dissing the XFL, have fun waking up this morning after the Super Bowl feeling 7 months of misery. Thank you very much. There you have that on the YouTube channel there. On to some phone calls. What about that? How about we get to some phone calls here for your buddy? And that, if I see it, and I haven't seen it, I've seen other people use the word up and coming, and I think that's fair. But fledgling is not. It irritates me. The guy irritates me. Sorry. On to phone call. Let's get to a phone call before we wrap this up.
Look, hi, this is Richard from Twitter. You know me, Richard O for real. Look, the XFL rules on the forward pass and the kickoff and the punt return is the bomb. But overtime, I cannot wait to see them put that in play. I think XFL is on the right path, making this a great game. I just wish some people would stop hating and just watch the game. That's the only thing I got to say. But other than that, I think this XFL team this season will be great.
All right, Richard checking in. Thanks for checking in. Richard always follows us everywhere. Appreciate his phone call. That's the thing. I keep hearing that they was like, oh, we kind of want to avoid overtime. I'm like, no. I think that overtime thing is going to be awesome, and I can't wait for it, to see this overtime stuff. So I'm all for it, the overtime rule. And I'm agreeing. There's going to be haters out there. There's no problem. Mike Florio's #1 XFL hater. Anything he writes is always kind of this snooty XFL deal. But we'll see at the end of the day. But I have a feeling the XFL will do just fine. So I'm glad Richard is excited about the rules. We are too. This is going to be fun. We're only a month away, friends. Only a month away.
The XFL rules are very, very interesting. I need to see these in live gameplay. The only thing I don't like is they can't move till the ball is kicked, but I understand it's safety. But all the rules sound very, very intriguing. The point after sounds like the AAF, and then I like the 5-point shootout there. Kind of reminds me of hockey. And then, they have that they pick up the ball, and they can score the same amount of points, so everybody's equal. There is no one team going and scoring more points, and it's, as they said, no ball, more ball, no stall. So the rules look very interesting. I like the sky judge. I like the kickoffs. There's parts in every rule that I don't like, but until I see them in live game action, I've seen the videos, I've kind of begin studying them. I do like that they have the opportunity to go for different type of points once they go for the extra points. So it should be quite entertaining. So thank you.
All right, thanks for the phone call. You got to leave your name, my friend. Got to give you credit. Got to give you props. But thanks for the phone call. I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited about the XFL rules. I think they did a great job. We have something breaking we'll get to that I'm reading here right now. But let's get to one more phone call, and then we'll get to this breaking news segment. Dun, 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 breaking news. But after this phone call.
Hey, man. I'm Gabe for the XFL. I want to say it's gonna be a good league. It's gonna be awesome. We're ready for the XFL. The XFL will be great. Have fun. Have a good night. Call me back. Put me on your YouTube channel. Please don't call me back because you're the best man ever on YouTube. XFL. Go LA. Go Mr. Man. Go Wildcats. It was awesome. Bye.
Well, there you have it, Gabe. You are now officially on the XFL News Hub. You're on the YouTube channel. You made it. You made it, my friend. Gabe has made it. Life is good. Gabe has made it to the XFL Week in Review podcast. He made it on. I appreciate the phone call. I appreciate all those phone callers. Remember, 888-430-7692, extension 3. Well, we have breaking news. Breaking news. Should I do that? Breaking news kind of deal? This guy, Landry Jones, your Tier 1 XFL quarterback, the number 1 quarterback taken, the first quarterback taken way before everybody else. According to the Dallas Renegades, Landry Jones sustained a left knee injury during Monday's practice at the team's training camp. Jones will continue to be evaluated by the Renegades medical staff. Quote, "We are sorry to see Landry sidelined for the next 4 to 6 weeks and are hopeful he will heal quickly and be back on the field at our opener, if not just shortly after," Renegades head coach and general manager Bob Stoops said. Landry is the leader of our team and will continue to play that key role. It's breaking news in the XFL world. Landry Jones is out for 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. That is not good. He is, would you say he's the biggest star in the XFL? I mean, he's one of the top guys. And now he is out. Now, a quick search over on XFL News Hub to your Dallas Renegades roster. Phillip Nelson is your guy, and they need to pick up a quarterback soon, maybe like tomorrow. Who is going to be the quarterback? They only have one, according to our roster. Is Phillip Nelson will be the quarterback. They need to pick up a guy. Who can the Dallas Renegades pick up? Do we get a trade? Do we see a trade? Does Dallas has already traded players? Do you think the Dallas Renegades will make a trade? They need 4 to 6 weeks, could be all season. We don't know that. It's not like Landry Jones is a young pup. Who's out there? Do you think Detroit is going to block Dallas from signing one of their players? You think they're going to go to the NFL and say, hey, is Matthew Stafford available? Quarterback for Dallas Renegades? Throwing this one out there, my friends. This is going to make the chat room explode. Do you call up a one Jonathan Manziel to come in and save the day for Bob Stoops and the Dallas Renegades? I don't think any team is interested in him. Definitely not Dallas, because we've had Daryl Moose Johnson saying, heck no. Maybe Houston trades their quarterback and then brings in Manziel. I don't think anybody's interested in him. Who is the Dallas Renegades going to bring in as their quarterback now that Landry Jones is out 4 to 6 weeks, if not potentially more? This is our first injury, major injury that we've heard. This is a big one. Aside from him and Cardell Jones, I think those are your two top names in this league. quarterback all around? Who will they sign out there? There you have it. You have Landry Jones and Phillip Nelson to be your quarterback. Who else? Who else are they going to get? All right. With that being said, let's go to some emailers on XFL News Hub. First up, let's see, we got Troy says, send us an email. It says, I'm a huge football. I think he means fan. And I really want the XFL game day authentic jersey. However, I want to be able to pick the name and number on it. For example, what if I want a Keenan Reynolds jersey? Would I get stuck with number 20 with no name on it? Troy, the way you can get your jersey made is you actually have to go to a game. You have to get those. That's the only way that happens is if you go to a game, then you can get a custom jersey from what I understand, but not online. Not online, my friend. Sorry. Next, Justin says, hello, I love football and realize we have 2 college teams and an NBA team. He's talking about Portland, Oregon. And soccer, but if XFL does well, would there be any consideration for a team in Portland, Oregon, or heck, maybe Salem, Oregon? I'm just curious. I know there's a lot of firsts to make sure the league is successful, but I'm a football fan I'm just curious. No, I would never, ever consider Oregon. I would be going to games for sure. Hell, I'm going to travel to Seattle, which is 8 hours away, but I would love one in Oregon. Thank you for your time. I'll be watching, praying the league succeeds. I'm stoked. Thank you for your time. Justin, checking in. Oregon's not going to have a team. Oregon's not going to have a team, my friend. I'm sorry. Not anytime soon. I don't think that's a big market. I don't think they're interested in that. Seattle, 8 hours. Good for you, my friend, that you're going to travel 8 hours to go hang out, to go see a Seattle Dragons game. That's dedication, my friend. That's dedication. I like it. On the national anthem, Pete Olson says, where does the XFL stand or kneel on the national anthem? Is it in your plans to make the anthem part of your game? I'm not the XFL, but I would assume the XFL is going to have the anthem. Oh, yeah, all that stuff. They're going to move the coin toss. They're not going to get rid of the anthem. And I don't think they ain't playing that game. You don't want to kneel? You're going to kneel or whatever. I don't think that really hurt the rep of the NFL for a little while there. I don't think the XFL is going to have any of that nonsense, that stuff going on. Let's see here. Max checking in. One of the things we were talking about was the visors. If you've seen the XFL players today, a lot of them were posting pictures of really cool custom visors. And we were trying to get to the bottom of, are these going to be allowed for games and then not? Max checked in, says, considering the traction Vader's Iverson visor got today on Twitter, I think it would be awesome if the XFL let players wear custom visors in games as well. It would only aid to the style of the game. I hope the XFL agrees. We haven't heard, and this is from Max, whether or not they're going to allow those visors in the game. We asked the XFL, but he comes back and says apparently the reason why it won't be allowed is because trainers will need to see players' eyes when they're evaluating certain injuries. I don't know if that's the case. If that's what will need to be happen, of why they wouldn't do that because of injuries. But then what if guys get hurt in a practice and they're still wearing it? So I don't know if necessarily that would. It's interesting. If you see it, I want to get our guys to do an article about the visors because they're really cool if you haven't seen them. One's got an Allen Iverson one. One's got that says bad on it or something. I mean, it's really cool stuff. It's really cool. I'm excited. That would be very cool if they would allow them to do it, but I understand if it's a safety thing. Finally, our number one emailer, the Tier 1, who apparently Nicholas might need to move to Dallas. The Dallas lost their Tier 1 quarterback for 4 to 6 weeks. Nicholas is the guy to go. He says, I wonder how many joint practices will occur over the course of training camp. Also, I wonder if any quarterbacks will be traded. You have Tyree Jackson, who looked good in college. You already have a young Teamo starting. I personally feel like Tyree Jackson can start. I wonder how many more players will be added before the season starts. Lastly, I know the XFL 2020 rules will be good. I know some of which will take time to adjust, but I do believe they will be great. We'll get all that details for you, Nicholas, on XFL News Hub. Have no fear when it comes to what's going on at training camp and what they're allowing, not allowing, that whole deal. Finally, let's check in with our friends over in the chat room. Max says, talking about his message about the visors, he says, I got referred to that by Renegades staff on the visors, and they said they weren't worried about injuries to receivers in practice because they weren't practicing at game speed. Oh, man, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. He also says, Rangers King 669 says, I think the Renegades will sign somebody like Kevin Hogan or Brad Kaya. Maybe. I don't know. We will have more news on this Landry Jones thing. We got some alerts and things like that out there. So I appreciate everybody checking in on the chat room, getting in there. Guys, I hope you can help me. What does the X in XFL stand for? It stands for nothing. That is correct. Rangers King 669. Thank you, Sure Doubloon 90. Fledgling has a negative. It is a negative word. It is a negative word. The people attack me. Some things that they like. Shane says, I think the money is there for multiple seasons. Will depend on if he's willing to lose it, I suppose. Pastor Jack, do you guys think the XFL will stay around? 2 to 3 years is what I give it. I think we'll be fine, my friends. All right. Great show. So glad to be back. Remember, you can win this by just subscribing or leaving us a review on iTunes. You get this awesome XFL football, $125 value. That's all you need to do there. Next week's question of the week, what is your favorite team and why? I want to know. We are less than a month away when we do the show next week for the season. I need to know what your team is and why. Oh, I grew up in New York, okay, or I hate this thing, or whatever. I always like to hear people's backstory. So how do you get and be part of the show? You email podcast at XFL News Hub or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. All XFL News Hub, the number one source for XFL news. Been doing it since Vince McMahon said, hey, I'm bringing it back. We existed right after that. Honestly, I think it was the next day. Plus, download our Android and iPhone apps. We have links to that. Those are being worked on and being updated so that there'll be a new version coming for the XFL season. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. And, of course, you enter to win cool football. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. And for show notes, head over to xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast. We will have a full recap from Mike Mitchell on the XFL rules. We'll get a full recap of going on with Landry Jones' injury situation and so much more. Just hang with XFL News Hub. We appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. And if you're listening on this podcast, well, then you'll just get it on the podcast. All right. Thanks for listening. Mahalo. God bless to you all. And I will see you all, my friends, later.